country's always been because we care about life. And you can't just all of a sudden start teaching kindergartners racism, and then when the parents pick it and post something, you can't run and hide and say, they're trying to kill me. Lock them up. Censor them. It's not how things work. These people need to get together, stop acting like children, act like adults, talk to each other, learn from each other, and just finish the school year like normal people.
But Brian, they also have to worry. This has gone further with Merrick Garland essentially sticking because memo, which again we found out that the Secretary of Education Cardona requested the original letter.
Okay, this is just the moon going through my telescope with a, I explained earlier, $10 tag sale telescope, nothing fancy. You can see all this with your eyes. You don't even need a telescope. But to have some fun, a $10 cheap telescope or a good telescope, you guys got, I don't know, Corey, Pastor Brooks probably doesn't have money to throw a grant, $1,000 at a telescope, but maybe if everybody's able to share it and use it, then why not? And you just go out and get your own footage of the moon, all right, and the clouds and then the trees and the rocks and everything, so that you can go over them. And what I call this is digital collection of electromagnetic nanocarbon from the system. Right now, this is digital collection of electromagnetic nanocarbon from the area we call the moon. And it's pretty simple. It's basic. Now, this very video that I'm going to be talking about things right now, I'm just going to point out that this is the fourth or fifth frickin' time that I've made this exact video, because I keep trying to talk about something and something strange is happening with my videos. I noticed the other day, I could take you to the videos now, but I don't want to waste time. I'll just explain it to you. So as I uploaded my videos over the last, 6 or 7 videos that I just uploaded, I noticed that after the first 3, I noticed that parts of them were missing. So I thought it was the, 9.5 minutes, 3 and 4 minutes or whatever. And I usually don't upload short videos, but I did because I thought, okay, well, it must be on there, the parts that I was missing. So then I went and uploaded that 9.5 minute video and the 3.5, I think it is, or something. So I uploaded those. And then as I was watching them back, I realized, oh my God, I'm missing a half hour here and then 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there. Something weird happened. And little bites were missing out of the freaking thing of what I was talking about. So luckily I remembered what it was I was talking about during those times, because you can see the footage. I say, okay, let me show you this, and then I pan over to my whiteboard, and then all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of shit that I explained, and it all disappears. It's all gone. And I can't even, it's not even there, so it's not even like it's on the phone and I can upload it separately or something. So I'm saying this is weird. So anyway, this is now my 5th attempt at getting this out again. I'm going to leave the news off too, because I don't want any copyright strikes on it, because I'm so sick and tired of saying the same shit over again. It is kind of boring and all that, but so some of these things I have to get out. So right now they're talking on the news about the school boards and stuff like that, and then another show they were talking about our Constitution, that I was trying to explain to Candice the other day, that the Constitution is really does not exist. It's non-existent. We only pretend that it exists. And you say to yourself, oh, well, we live by all these laws and these rules that are according to our Constitution. And no, we don't. None of it. None of it. And then the whole thing about freedom and all that stuff. No, none of it. When you start looking at that Constitution, you're going to realize that, holy shit, it's true. I'm only going to give you a few, because I don't even want to waste my time on it all anymore. I know that it's all bullshit. I want to give some examples. The other day I gave an example about your Second Amendment rights, so that you have the right to bear arms and all that stuff. All right, so over the years with the guns and stuff like that, It's all been taken away from us. Under Obama, Obama went around on Craigslist and had agents on Craigslist. It was real bad. I mean, I'm living in Massachusetts and people here like their guns too. And I couldn't believe watching them all get taken away the way they did. They had the buyback the gun system. They had the threaten you, we're taking your gun system. They had the coming down hard on anybody that had old guns or bullet making equipment. Obama had people on Craigslist buying people's guns at the time. And then when they sold them the guns, that was one way to get them off the street. In other words, they were down as, what the hell? They were, I gotta keep an eye on the camera. They, what do you call it? We're looking at the moon, by the way, while I'm shooting the breeze. I got the moon going through the telescope here, so I'll hit play here and there, and then let it center, and then I'll pause it again and all that. So anyways, Obama took away all that stuff. We also noticed at the time Obama was buying out all the hollow point bullets, supposedly for the military, and we had all kinds of conspiratorial crap going on everywhere. He ordered, supposedly, I don't remember the number, 500,000 of those plastic body bags, and then he also ordered another, I don't know, a couple million of the plastic coffins, the fiberglass coffins, and they were all piled on top of each other, and they showed pictures of it on all the conspiracy channels and all that stuff to get everybody worried. All distractions. Not to say that these things were not real, and because those were all supposed to be for the domestic blowout that was supposed to go down in this country. That's what the conspiracy theorists were talking about happening. So back to the guns. So our Second Amendment rights were lifted a long, long time ago. They were never really stood. When you think about it, the laws that changed, that Candice, goes to you because you are okay with all these laws changing, and this is why you don't understand or see why these rights that I'm telling you that we all have, we really don't have. And we can also have an appreciation more for, not for BLM, because I know BLM is a psyop. I understand BLM is a psyop. Just that's why I was saying the other day to go to Larry Pinckney's and look at what he went through, how his start of a good thing turned into a bad thing because it was taken over by government psyops, by CIA and FBI took over his nice little program that he was trying to help people. The same thing Pastor Brooks is doing right now, right? Pastor Brooks is trying to help out the people in his community, and he should watch out for that too because he could get screwed. And Black Lives Matter was a stretch from the Panthers. It was from all the way from back in Larry Pinckney's day. They never went away. The Panthers were taken over by the CIA. They were forwarded and put into place all throughout the years. You can see how it worked. You see what they did with the once they realized once the government agencies, and I don't want to say that either because really it was all of us. We all seen it. We all knew it was happening. We all let it happen. All of us, every color in the United States. But what we did was we watched them drop machine guns and heavy equipment and everything in the alleys, right? Under Pinckney. Pinckney had that Asian dude. He was an FBI agent, and he had another black dude in his company that was also CIA or FBI. So those guys are all dead now. They all, once they started coming out about it and everything like that, they all got taken out. Before their time was up. It was before their time was due. So anyways, when you go back and you look at that and you see that those things got taken right into year after year after year, we noticed that it worked. Because how do we know that it worked? Because the CIA and the people, let's just say the 7.8 billion zombies, because I don't like blaming really any one group really. So the 7.8 billion zombies decided that what they were going to do is start these gangs. It worked for the mafia. The black people were all tired of the way they were being treated. They're being poisoned. They're being dumbed down by the school system and all this stuff, and all this shit was going on. So we're going to give them something. We're going to give them street gangs. So they started implementing the street gangs among the black populations, the communities, you want to call them. And we all know this. We all seen how it went down. And you can't really blame the gangs for doing what they were doing. Yes, it's violent and everything like that, but so is the mafia. When you make everything based on the money, and the cash and everything like that, and they're trying to feed their families, and they're trying to feed their people, right? Right, trying to stay alive. They don't want to be dressed in shit clothes and poor and living like that, so that they have another way out of it. So the doors were open for the dealing drugs, big time open, under Bill Clinton, under Reagan, and we were totally fucked because what did Reagan do, right? What did Reagan do? He hired his wife to start the drug war, the war on drugs, which went against every pothead, every marijuana user got screwed. They're all in jail because they had joints on them. Why? Because them laws, what they did was, at that time, when you go back and look at what Nancy Reagan implemented, right? What she did was she started this big phase. Now, look at how all the laws changed. Normally, if you got caught with a few joints or a small bag, you were only going to be given a warning. You get a court case, you get a fine. It wasn't that big of a deal at that time. It wasn't major. So she changed it. So now, if you got caught with joints on you, they were any more than one joint. Any more than one joint at that time was going to mean that you were dealing joints. Dealing joints meant dealing drugs, and she was going to get you off the street. So my friends were disappearing and getting locked up of all colors. It didn't matter the fucking color. They're all getting locked up over joints. So then you had the anything over 1 ounce and anything. Meanwhile, while this is all going on, and I'm watching my friends go to jail left and right over the years for marijuana, what used to be marijuana possession, now turned into marijuana dealing, because sometimes you'd be smoking a joint, and then they put in the laws at that time that if you were within, I think it was 3 miles, within a 3 mile radius of a school, of any school, then you are also going to be considered dealing and school grounds, right? Not only were you going to get caught smoking, so this fucking went so bad for everybody. So I had friends that had an ounce of weed in their trunk. They get caught smoking a joint. They're not even in or near their car, but yet for some reason the cops now have because they're being arrested, they look at their ID, they look up the plate, that's your car, we know it's your car, open it up. So then they get the car keys and they open up the car. All should be totally illegal. They're against our Constitution and our rights as human beings. But no, this all went through, no problem. Okay, so this is under Reagan. This all happened. Okay, there's a lot of bad things that happen under every president, but this one in particular was a real fuck show. So then you had all these things happen, but meanwhile, at the same time, you had Bill Clinton's friends, because Bill Clinton was only nowhere near presidency at that time yet, right? So Bill Clinton's friends were all bringing in the fucking heroin, the cocaine, and all that kind of stuff. And then up was coming the crack. The crack was starting to make its way into our system and be a big deal. So those things were all being ignored. They could come over the Canadian border. They can come over the southern border. They can come over wherever the hell they wanted to. They could bring these bad shit into the system. Marijuana is still illegal from a time that it should have never been fucking illegal, ever. And that all had to do with fuel, energy, what we were going to be running on instead of running on gas and oil. We could have ran on it. But anyways, that's at least of my worries. I'm more interested in getting this through to you about president to president, and how this all went down. Okay, at the same time under Reagan that his wife was doing that, they hired another woman. Her name escapes me at the moment. She wrote a book after she got out. She got out of it. She was in charge of the school system. And what was freaking her out is that how bad these policies were, how stupid it was to do all these things, because it didn't make any sense. I mean, she had been a teacher for years. She didn't have experience to be in the White House or running the nation's school system. She knew that she didn't have the experience for that. She was wondering why she was even being hired, because she really didn't have that kind of experience. But she did seem to have a good heart, and she was a smart person. she obviously had a mirror neuron because she felt bad about what she had done. So after she implemented it all and seen that it went just as poorly as she thought it was going to, she wrote a book. It's called The Dumbing Down of America. And The Dumbing Down of America got squashed. It wasn't like all your guys' books that make the bestseller list and all that shit, right? She didn't have that going for her. She wasn't like that. So for her to get pulled aside, but you can still go online and download her book for free. It doesn't get sold in stores because I don't even know. I don't know if it's banned in stores or if it's just that it went so badly for her. I don't know. But anyways, The Dumbing Down of America is the name of that book, and you can see that was the next implementation. I'm not going to say that's where it began, but that was one big fucking show that everybody really should have been paying attention to. I got a lot of glare in my camera on this moon video, so maybe I'll go to another moon video. Let's see what happens over here. All right, so at that same time, under Reagan, we got all that stuff. And then at the time, you had conspiracy theorists out there, like Bill Cooper, who Bill Cooper supposedly now has been killed, and CIA supposedly took him out, or the FBI, or somebody like that took him out, or the Freemasons, who the hell knows. But he had a lot of weird fucking stories, and they seemed so realistic because he was a military, he was Navy, he was a Navy, forget his rank now, but anyways, Bill Cooper. I'm sure you're familiar with him. I'm sure you guys have heard of him. But he had a lot of bullshit stories to tell everybody about all these things that have gone down over the years. One of them was the time travel, that he supposedly traveled back in time, and when they took him back in time, he met the future president, and that future president was Ronald Reagan. So he said, "Wait a minute, you're not the president. You're an actor." When they woke him up and all this kind of stuff, and there were a lot of bullshit stories, a lot of bullshit stories. So for all that stuff to be going on all around us at all times, between the television, the movies, the books, the religions of all different kinds, very confusing. I'll also mention too that under every one of these presidents throws billions, nowadays trillions of dollars at this nonsense space and bullshit, right? They get boasted up. Anybody that's outer space nonsense gets boasted up in our societies. Oh, I'm not even gonna I'll get aggravated if I even go into it. But under Reagan, his was the defense system, the outer space defense system. If any meteoroids or space aliens are to come at us, he doesn't say space aliens, but he says it's an outer space defense system. If there's anything going on out there in outer space, we want to be able to laser beams and knock it out of space and all this stuff. And we can also use it to defend ourselves against nuclear weapons and all this kind of stuff, we're told, right? So everybody went along with it. Billions and billions of dollars he spent on nothing, absolutely nothing, because there's no outer space like we're told. So they're not the way that we're told about it. It's an electrical system. All right. Because the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I'm going to later in another video get to some of the other presidents and what they blew billions and trillions of dollars on during their space expositions, or expeditions, whatever. So, all right. So under Reagan, we had all that kind of crap going on. Then, if you go back and you look under Carter, right? Carter was right before Reagan, I believe. So if you look at Carter, I remember, some of the, it wasn't Carter. No, we were getting into the Bushes. Oh, that was the other one I wanted to mention, the Bushes. So when Bush Sr. Had one of his idiots try to kill Reagan, Nancy, you could tell, totally turned off of the Bush family. It was all part of the deal. It was all part of the thing. They made it look like Reagan was not going along what they wanted to do. Maybe there might be something to that, because when I talk about Trump later in the next 10, 15 videos, I'm going to talk about Trump, because that's my problem with Trump. I don't know. See, he's obviously a Freemason. He obviously has the information. So is he just on the world stage pretending to be a good person, and then really while he's in there, just like every other Republican or Democratic or any president that we've ever had, they're really just going along with the system? Or does he try to pull back the reins on the system? Is he going behind the back of the world leaders, the Earth's leaders? Is he going behind their back and saying, no, I'm going to pull back the reins. I don't want it to end this fast. I don't want the United States agenda to be pulled back yet. Leave China and Russia alone. They'll get their turn again on the world stage when we're ready. Kind of like the same thing that Adolf Hitler tried to do, right? Hitler was doing the same thing because Hitler was high up in Freemasonry. He knew the fucking real story. He, again, too, used a lot of lies to convince the people and stuff. So here's the thing. I don't even know if I should be upset at these presidents for doing what they did. Because if you think about it, any of these people that are involved, there's 7.8 billion zombies. If you go telling them the truth, they will strike you down. The 7.8 billion zombies will strike you down if you tell them the truth. They don't want the truth. They all want to be lied to. Even though they have a mirror neuron, they're fine with the lies because what they'll do is they'll use their mirror neuron manipulator to pretend that they can use an imagination and all that kind of stuff to imagine that they're living in freedom. So, anyways, these are not any of the things that I'm saying now are not the parts that got deleted. This is all, I'm just shooting the breeze. The parts that were getting deleted off my phone over the last 6 or 7 videos was this. The black communities, the black populations all over this earth are losing their turn on the world stage. Everybody gets a turn on the world stage. And what happened was they were lied to. The black people, all the people were lied to, actually. So even white people don't even realize what it is I'm trying to explain to you. Okay, if you go back and look at history all the way to the last 6 to 10,000 years, right? Don't go to the ancient times yet. Just stick to the last 6 to 10,000 years. You'll notice that every color had their chance at on the world stage. They all took turns, and then it's already gone around. Actually, it seems like it already gone around a couple times. Someone's got to spend some time, you Candice, because you're so familiar with history. Just understand that it's all false history and look for the truths. And when you find them, share them with me. I would love to know if I'm right about this, because this is what it seems like happened to me. Okay, you have your Peruvians, right? You have your, you can go back to the ancient Romans. You can go back to ancient times too and look at, okay, the Romans, Spain, Japanese, right? Let's start it at the beginning as far back as we can go. It goes back to Japan. It goes back to Asia. And not China, though. It goes back to Japan. So it seemed like Japan was, at least with my history, and my history is limited. So that's why I'm saying someone else with a half a wit's got to go look into this, because if it proves to be right, then just let me finish explaining this stuff. Okay, so you had your Japan, then India. Now, we're told that it was India first and then Japan, but it wasn't. It seems to me it was Japan first, then India, and then, because of Buddha. That's why we were always told that Buddha was the, first religion. And then you also have all the, the sun gods and the geocentric models and everything like that. That was all in this big, long stretch that all the other religions ran off of. The sun god, the moon god, and all these things. So we know we were already bio at that time, or at least I do feel that we were already bio. Because whenever the moon was created, I'm trying to figure out now, was the moon created in the nighttime, moon and night? Because moon does not necessarily mean night, but I have my reasons for thinking this, and I'm still trying to figure it out, but they didn't get added until the false creator. When the false creator did his work, that's when these other nighttime got created. Because again, the true creator is all pure energies, and you didn't need nighttime. It was unnecessary. Nighttime is for the biospecies, not for the living energies. This is going to be a bad video to look at because this moon video sucks. Let's see over here. So under Carter, again, I'll jump around all over the fucking place. So you go look at under Carter, right? Carter gives away our Panama Canal. What a ridiculous nonsense. The whole entire United States, Candice, that should be pissing you off. I mean, the work that America poured into making that canal And what a feat for the human population. Just, it reminds me of those big blocks that we used to move, that I was talking about in the other videos. Why are we not having any appreciation for our own work? So who did he give it to? I believe he gave that to Japan, right? Yeah. So he gives the Panama Canal to Japan. What the hell? And nobody even pays attention. Oh, we owed them a lot. They helped us out a lot over the years and stuff, he says, and he gives it away. Nobody says a fucking thing. So I'm like shaking my head. What a weirdo. Also, you notice, okay, right before Carter came into the office, I remember my mother telling me she was going to vote for him and telling me how great of a person he was and all this stuff. Him and his brother, simple men, peanut farmers, and things were going to be so much better under his presidency and everything. I was just a little kid. I was born in 70, so I was only 6 years old or something when he went in. So, anyways, so anyways, right about the time of his presidency, maybe a year or two before, we already started hearing the stories about it because I remember hearing the stories about, yeah, him and his brother have 75% of the Earth's contracts, peanut contracts, right? So you look at the other Carter, the black Carter, the Carter that supposedly invented peanut butter. Maybe he did. And that original Carter, the black Carter, he had natural medicines figured out, and also the black Carter knew the heavy metals and the minerals that I find so important nowadays to know what the hell. Everybody has their own heavy metal and mineral makeup, and we can't be mixing them up and putting the wrong ones in our bodies and eating them rather than absorbing and all these different things. So he knew that. Carter knew that. His ingenious was not ingenious at all because the word ingenious has been flip-flopped. The word ingenious now today means that you were programmed and you accepted your program. Your memory capsule soaked up all the lies and you put all those lies into play, and then you go right to the top of the chain. You go right to the top because you can spout out the lies like this. You can throw them out of your mouth, just like I'm going to show you later, Candice. I'm going to go back in on some of your videos because I've been really laying into your videos lately, and I'm going to do it a nice way, but I'm just going to try to give you another way of looking at yourself. I'm not going to look at you in this way. I already see it. So I'm just going to explain it to you and then let you go at it. But anyways, back to dumbass Carter. So Carter and his brother, they get the peanut thing, and they're selling peanuts like they're hotcakes, right? Peanuts, everybody kidding. When I was a kid, everybody had peanut butter. Then, if you notice, over the next 10 to 15 years, the autism rate doubled. Then the next 10 to 15 years, doubled again. And if you notice, everybody that has autism has peanut allergies for one. They have allergies to a whole bunch of other things as well, but those are other stories, other things that we need to talk about later. I can't bring them all in because I'll just keep sidetracking myself. But this is just one in particular that shows you that you can see vaccinations, peanuts, and after Carter got the contract, because we were eating so many of them. So you would think that if parents were all eating the peanuts right throughout their childhood, and as they grow up, then the next generation comes, you would think they'd be able to handle the peanuts by that time, right? No, they're actually all allergic. People dying from peanuts. Not a lot, but there was people dying from peanuts, and we made a big thing out of it. And then no one really talks about when it all started. But if you go back way in history, back to the Carter, the black Carter, I don't remember his first name, or it was Carver. It wasn't Carter, was it? It was Carver. I'm sorry. You have to remind me. It's been years since I've done this research. I think it was Carver. Or was it Carter? I'll have to go look it up. But anyways, when he was there, he made a lot of inventions when he was here. He didn't get any credit for it, even when he taught about it in school. It was Carver. It was Carver. And when Carver went and that was probably the way I was using my memory to remember it, is Carter and Carter because of the peanut thing or whatever. That was probably my way of trying to remember his name. But when Carver was doing that, he didn't get any credit. And then when we were growing up and stuff like that, we just got a little, I think it was 2 lines, maybe 2 sentences about Carver. And if you wanted to learn any more about Carver, you were going to have to go somewhere else. You weren't going to learn about him, right? Um, so what I'm building up to here, the part that got deleted before, I'm only at 29 minutes, so I think I can get it all in, the rest of this. We were talking about the part that got deleted the other day in the video was I was talking about how blacks are getting cut out of their place in line for being the leading world power. I'll just use your word world, okay? But don't, it's not a world. But they've lost their place in line because they've been lied to so badly. So during those ancient times, we were told that the Egyptians, for example, where we're told that the Egyptians, we were going to go by what we found in the caves, what we found in their graves, right, in their grave sites and stuff like that, to tell you, to tell the population what they look like, who they were, what color they were, and all this shit, right? That was one of the ones. Now that's this suspicion of mine came from programming that I received throughout my life. Black people that I knew. My friend Tony explained this to me one time, and I kind of shrugged it off, but it was in the back of my mind. We were talking about Jewish people because we were working for a Jewish guy, and he mentioned, he said, "Yeah, he's such a dick. We talked about it before. He doesn't even realize that my people came from his people, and his people came from my people because the Egyptians were actually black. They were not white people like they're portrayed." And he told me a little bit about it, and I didn't think all that much about it. But over the years, as I was looking around back in history in those days, I'm saying, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. It seems like there is something to be said about that because it's very easy for them to change history. They can let 100 years go by. They change the whole. We're watching it happen right now, right? So we're watching it happen. So they can change. They're going to take down, let's say, all the most famous statues and paintings that have been made over the last 200, 300 years, right? All that history is being torn down. The museums all over the world. We went to Iraq. What did we do? Before we killed anybody, before Obama bombed anybody, he destroyed all the art, right? He destroyed all their history first. That was one of the first things we do whenever we're taking over another country, wherever the natives are in each country. And that's pretty amazing to see and think about. All right, so come from the Egyptian times and the ancient times, I should say, all the way to the last 6 to 10,000 years now, right? So in the last 6 to 10,000 years, we know when the Spaniards, we know when Spain was running things, right? They were the Earth's world power because they had other countries under them and a lot of them. We know that it came as far as Mexico. We know that they had the Philippine Islands. We know that they had Spain itself. We know that so this is the brown people, but it's not the black people. That's the brownish people, the tannish, brownish. They were in that color, right? So it wasn't the whites yet. The whites were not really in charge of everything yet. So when you look back in the last 6 to 10,000 years, blacks have never been on the world stage yet, right? So why are we going back to China and Russia right now, back to an Asian country? Because again, we started out with Japan was in there, and then uh, um, Russia was already in there as well under the Soviet Union as a world power. So we know that in Russia's white people, right? So we always have these other world power. It doesn't just stem from the United States. Like today, as of today, we have Australia, for example, as another white power that took over a black country. All right, so because even Australia, they're pretty dark, the original natives, and they do have a lot of facial features. It seems to me, right, that is close to the African American or the African or the Jamaican or the Haitian. They have the same facial features. So just like the Asians, you have Japan, China, and then the Filipinos. It's amazing to me. I mean, it's pretty. No one wants to admit any of this stuff. They all have their hang-ups and their stereotypes about any of this. But, I mean, the Filipino islands in the Philippines was the Spanish getting together and marrying, whether by choice or not, I don't know, and we can debate about that stuff, but they were mixing with China, right? So you had Spaniards marrying and having sex with the Chinese, which then created the Filipinos. It created a whole culture. And they now the Filipino cultures, which are also divided at every corner, every bump, every one of these countries is. We are all so fucking divided. It's unbelievable. So in the Philippines, I find it very interesting. We do the same thing here in the States, but I just found it interesting because I didn't realize it until you get to know a lot of Filipino people. But their districts are so small, and their dialects change from small village to small village and everything throughout all these islands. And the if you don't speak that particular dialect, it's like if I go to if I go to Chicago and I try to go hang around with a bunch of the brothers, right, and I'm trying to act like I'm black and I'm hey, well, I don't even want to try. I'm not a good enough of an actor. But if I try to act like the black lingo, right, on the street, I'm obviously not, right. I'll compare it to Eminem, right. Eminem gets away with it because he really is a black white person, right. He really is. He's not faking nothing when he's using his street lingo, uh, whatever, speech and all that stuff. He's not faking it. He really means it. He really, in his head, thinks that he's a white black person. So, and this is not to say that all black people talk like that. I'm talking about a particular set of black people, the ones that we should not be thinking that. The thing is the education system. We think so much of the education system. I heard you, Pastor Brooks, the other day saying that you're worried about the blacks being dumbed down because of the education system, leaving them behind, right? I want to offer to you that might have been a trick. Might have been a trick. All the education system that we use today is a freaking waste. It's all waste. We're wasting 6, 7 hours a day of our children's education, of their time, I should say, and wasting it in school, being there. And then we waste an hour getting them there and an hour getting them home and all this shit. It's a total fuck job. It really is. And what I mean by that is blacks that we're claiming are illiterate, there should be nothing wrong with being illiterate. Seriously, I mean, it sounds crazy, just like all the other shit I'm saying to you. But being illiterate, black should not feel bad about. Nobody should, actually. Nobody should feel bad about it. You did the right thing. If you remained illiterate, then you did the right thing. There's a chance to make up for it, but to get to the point that what I'm trying to show you guys, it's better to be illiterate because see, the English language more than any other language is so confusing, so stupid, so ridiculous, so overdone, so over the top. We don't need millions and millions of the words that we use, and we still make up new ones every day, right? We're still making up new ones. So why should we fault black people as the example? Why should we fault them for not knowing that I'm going there is spelled There, and I might even be wrong about these. And then they're not coming with us. That there is Their. And then let's see, what are all the other there's? They're broke. Is that the one I'm looking for? TheYre, and then the apostrophe Yre, right? And then you got the so you know what I mean. So this is just one example out of the millions and millions of examples of the stupid shit that English language does to the human population. So my thing that I'm going to recommend, this movie video really sucks, but I'm talking and I don't want to stop and pause. Let me see it. Let me see if it goes through. Let's see. So in other words, they're not stupid. It's impossible for blacks to be stupid. And I'll tell you why. Their brains, they have these huge freaking brains. They have an electrical system unlike none other on this earth. And this is why I believe that they're being skipped on their turn on the world stage. I believe that we had to keep them down. We, not just the whites, but all, even the blacks, all had to be kept down because if they didn't, then they would first of all realize that they're missing their turn on the world stage. So the people that belong to Freemasonry and the cabal on the black side, the people that are running the cabal may be the same thing that I'm saying about Trump. Like, let's say Jay-Z is now a 44-degree cabal, right? Because they again, don't mix with the Freemasons, but yet they all get the same powers and they all get the same stuff, right? So, and then just like Beyonce can't even get a degree in Kabbalism. She can't because she's a female. So everybody cuts each other out of everything. No one works together on any level at all. But now, is the fact that they don't work together, is there a reason for that? Is the fact that, because one I can forgive and the other one I don't. All right, so if Jay-Z, let's say, for example, doesn't come out and get together with all the other black people on this earth and say, look, we were fucked with, we were lied to, here's the real truth and all this stuff, right? It may not be a matter of fear that he's going to be taken out. That could be, but I don't think so. I don't think that would be it. I think it would more or less be the reason why they don't come out about it is because we're dealing with 7.8 billion zombies. These 7.8 billion zombies will turn on him in a heartbeat. If he was to come out and try to share the truth with them, they would call him a liar. They would say he's crazy. They would lock him up. They would do all kinds of shit. Just like they do even when you try to tell a little bit of truth in reality about anything. You know, there is this thing of embarrassment that the Freemasons and the Cabal all have to go through at some point in their life. We watch Cosby go through it. We watch O.J. Simpson go through it. We watch people of color go through it the same way that we watch Freemasons do it with Bill Clinton and do it with Trump and do whatever. They all need their humiliation. There has to be a point of humility in the on the world stage, right? They all have to do this. I don't know why they feel the need to go through all this drama, and it's fucking silly. But anyways, back to the point I'm trying to make. I'm already at 41 minutes. So I got to wrap this up in a second. So when we go back and look at everything, and when Obama came into office, as a black president, of course, you know, being our first black president, that was a big deal. That's what, to me, it was anyways. And when Candice mentioned that in her videos about it, I wanted to talk about that. And that's the one that keeps getting deleted, is when I'm talking about that. All right, so when you go back to Obama, when Obama came into office, we had Asians were at 6%. This is like the fifth time I'm doing this, and I'm hoping that I don't come up with the wrong numbers. Asians were at 6% abortion rate in the United States. Spanish were at 12. I want to say 12 or something like that, where the Spanish Latinos were at 12% abortion rate. Still low, maybe 9 to 12, something like that. And then whites were at 16, I think it was 16, 17% abortion rate. This is back when Obama was in charge. Blacks were at 37, 38% abortion rate, right? And then Obama comes in. I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is going to be so much better, because now all those stupid laws and regulations that were locking up black people for marijuana possession, dealing 10 bags, big fucking deal, dealing 10 bags out in the street. Everybody else got away with it, but if they were black, they weren't going to get away with it. It was just ridiculous. And then that's why they outnumbered the amount of whites that were going down for these drug offenses and stuff like that. But it was all shitty to watch anyways for everybody, not just black people, but it was very strange the way it was ignored. The obvious realities to it all were all ignored. So Obama comes in, and within the first year or two, it became very apparent that this guy was whiter than me. I mean, this freaking dude's skin may be black, but he's fucking white guy, man. He's not doing nothing for the black communities. And I could not understand why everybody was still going along with it, other than race fear, of fearing that if they spoke up, they were going to be called racist and that kind of shit, right? Because that's the point we were coming to at that time. the race baiting thing got really freaking bad. We were seeing it everywhere. It was all happening. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, we were almost done with racism before he came in. I mean, we had it down to bigotry and stereotyping. And that went for everybody. We all did that. Everybody was a bigot and a stereotypical thing, but we were not racist. We came back to being racist during Obama. So it was pretty incredible to watch the whole entire country of all races all lose racism over a certain amount of time. From, let's say, from the Panthers to the BLM, right? From the time the Panthers went out of our consciousness, they weren't on the news every night. They were no longer in the paper. And no one knew that they were changing their names to Black Lives Matter. They didn't know what the new setup was going to be. So we all loved each other. We all liked each other. Everything was starting to go good. And the bigotry and the that was like everybody, man. I mean, everybody in my family that and friends and everything like that, they were all mixed up. In other words, the races, right? So like how many times did I hear my Polish side of the family calling the other side of one of the many other sides of my family a bunch of frogs, right? Because they were French, so they would be known as frogs. Then you had the Canadian French side of my family. They were called Canucks. These were the bad words to use to describe these other nationalities. But we were all marrying within each other. We were all blending in. Lots of different colors going on and stuff I might mention as we go along. But some colors got cut out of the mix. Blacks were still being cut out of the mix. Puerto Ricans were a little lighter in color, so they were more accepted by each other's families and all this kind of shit, right? So I'm noticing all this happen under Obama. I'm watching this nightmare right in front of my eyes, and I thought it was going to be the total opposite of a nightmare. I thought it was going to be a dream come true, getting a black man into presidency, into the office. He totally freaking trashed the whole thing and made everybody, encouraged everybody, and it became obvious. It just became so obvious. That's why when Black Lives Matters came out, and then you see Beyonce singing about kill the cops and whatever. I'm exaggerating, but Beyonce comes out and discourages about the police and Jay-Z and everybody, and all of a sudden all the movie stars and everybody's going. And I'm saying to myself, you got to be kidding me. You guys are really this big of zombies? I mean, it didn't make any sense. I'm thinking back again, back to my childhood as I was growing up. Polacks, the word Polak. One side of my family's Polish, so the French side, whenever the French side of friends and family, whatever, oh, you dumb fucking Polacks, man. You Polacks can't tie your shoes right, and blah, blah, blah. And then my Polish ancestors, the older people in my family, I should say, they were very offended by this word Polak. So it was nice to be able to bust their balls about calling them a dumb Polak, right? And then the same thing with all these others. So the Jews were called kikes, and then that was their racist term for Jews, right? And then somehow the word Jew got turned into a racist word, and you're supposed to only call them Jewish, not a Jew. When you say the word Jew now, it sounds like it's a racist term now. All these terminologies that we were all using to get